Hi.
How are you?
Good. I may have actually got us to live stream. I'm really happy about that.
I'm so proud. Oop, why do I have a reserved in there? Yeah. Great. So I want to get the fuzzy up.
Okay, do you
I'm
want
going to get the fuzzy up. I'm going to give Brandon these.
Yeah.
So for some reason this isn't, it's like buffering 60 frames prior, which is solid. Because if someone messes up, we can stop it. Yes! Liability.
Good. Huh?
He's like, I'm about to go out. You're kind of to rupture. You better not.
I'm not gonna let it.
Please don't. A little faster.
Okay, fuck off, first of all.
You're doing great, Alicia.
Thank you.
We're all nervous. We are all nervous.
Actually, not nervous at all. I get the joke though.
GBM? I can speak in front of anybody.
Yeah. I will bring you yours.
I'm good.
Please sit down. I cannot deal with you.
She's getting a proxy. Oh. I don't know if you're this one. Huh?
Chill. Here you go.
I would, yes.
That is
And then I wait for their news.
Yeah, just say proxy. Okay,
Thank you.
Are you, where are you?
I will bring you yours, but here you go.
Okay, cool. I'll hold on.
Connor Tro.
Here, do you have
Yours?
No, Laurent. I was going to
Oh, Laurent. I don't know if he has one. Yeah, he does not have one yet.
He doesn't have one.
I think she can be able to get it.
Laurent.
Oh, I haven't made this yet, sorry.
I love you. The world's best little girl.
Ellie, I think yours is with like, it might be.
Yeah, heck yeah.
There's Alice right there.
We usually weren't allowed to touch these.
And make sure this is the right one. Nobody. Yeah. Is I wrong?
No. I brought it up.
Oh.
Thank you.
I've got my thing.
This thing. Who replaced? Why is it this one? Why the old one?
Oh. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's the one that wasn't working. But it's working right now, so. Good. Your top one all in. I think you're going. Let's see if you're going right now. Okay.
I'm shook. Do you see one for Nathan Horton here anywhere?
Oh. I do not. I would take that up with John. Oh boy. Someone messed up.
Oh, we got beef then. We got beef. That's alright.
This is you. This is Senator. That's his right. Oh, I need it. You think what? I'll make sure you don't have that. Someone here definitely doesn't need one. 60, yeah. Whatever the addition is, exactly. Thank you so much. Okay.
You should sit next to like behind
So like I'm actually pretty hard. But you're like, yeah. I love him without you.
Calling the meeting to order. Next on the agenda, John. Okay. It should be student speak out. Are there any students here to speak out tonight on any matter? If so, you have 3 minutes. State where you live, your major, and your year, please.
Zach, all right if I stand up?
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Zach Rises. I'm the Center for International Studies Senator on Student Senate. Thank you, President Palmer, for the time. I know that this will be discussed next week, but I wanted to immediately take a moment to speak out today expressing my concerns over the interim policy on freedom of expression, which was approved on August 17, 2017, for interim use at Ohio University. My comments and concerns will also be sent electronically to Landon and to those they need to be sent to. For those who do not know, the interim freedom of expression policy was written this summer by the Executive Staff Policy Committee to address a gap in the University Administrative Policy Manual. All administrative policy is available online to be read, and in addition, I learned this week that you can go and look back at all previous iterations of that policy as well as public comments on them. In regards to this policy specifically, 24.041, there haven't been previous versions of the freedom of expression policy. This was written in response to, we assume, the arrest of the Baker 70 this past spring. Given that this gap existed, the arrest of the Baker 70 was uncharacteristic when you look at previous arrests and how previous protests were treated, and the abrupt and unusual introduction of this policy we generally assume to be an attempt to clarify the university's position. Therefore, my concern is not about the policy's words itself. My concern is about the premise on which this policy was written. The premise that the Baker 70 arrests were bad, and that kind of protest, therefore, should be prevented in the future. I disagree with that premise. The Baker 70 protest was a peaceful protest where a group of Ohio University students expressed their beliefs, engaged in a constitutionally protected act, and were met in response with potentially clouded judgment and potentially infringement upon their rights. At the very least, a judge ruled that the rule that was cited against them was ill-defined. So the fact that a policy such as this would be written with this event specifically in mind does a disservice, in my opinion, to students who have done the utmost to show that, one, they care about issues that affect us all, and two, they care about following the laws set in front of them. I will finally add that the single individual who's been tasked with executive decision-making around determining what is a good use of space is one man, the executive director of Baker Center, and I have concerns about that as well. I think the burden must be on the administration, not the protesters, to ensure protection of freedom of speech, and I do not think that this policy adequately speaks to those difficulties. So thank you for your time.
Are there any other students here to speak out tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will move forward with announcements. Are there any senators? Okay, the senator of HCOM.
Hi, so I'm going to stand too. Hopefully be quick. Last week, there was concern about the free STD testing per semester. So I got in touch with Dr. Valvo and Dr. Duvall because they both are pretty heavy on that topic. And basically what's going on is that they're merging to Ohio Health. They were under another contract before. And so the funding hasn't been eliminated, but they have to reapply for the funding from the Ohio Department of Public Health. So the hope is that the testing will be back by next semester. And I believe the policy is like one free chlamydia gonorrhea test per student per 6-month basis. So hopefully they get that figured out. They are working on it actively. And it's really important because the testing rates have gone actually way down that they've seen. So I'll make sure that I stay on them about that, keep in touch. There is still free HIV testing the third Tuesday of every month, I believe. I'll double check that. And then the next thing I wanted to say is that for this time being, and you can spread this to your constituents or anyone who asks you guys about it, in order to go here, I believe you are required to have insurance, and most insurances do under the Affordable Care Act cover chlamydia and gonorrhea testing, but a lot of people are under their parents' insurance, so they don't want to have the bill sent to their parents. And in the office at Campus Care, Hudson Health, whatever it's called, they will do counseling, or they'll work with you to make sure your bill can be sent to you or sent to you via email. They're really good with that, so make sure you tell people that. Hopefully that this doesn't deter them from going to get tested, but they are working on getting it back. So that's the update.
Thanks for keeping us updated, and we look forward to hearing what else you have to report on that. Any other senators with the acting Commissioner Miller?
It's Parents Weekend coming up, and you should always, this is just like my little I work retail uptown speech, you should always be nice to your servers, your delivery drivers, your retail workers, etc. It's a busy weekend for us. Please be patient with us, and please remind your parents to be patient with all the people who are working uptown. We promise we're trying to give you the best service we possibly can. Just take some deep breaths, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Women's Affairs Commissioner Burke.
Hey guys, so I'm actually missing the date at the moment. I can get that in a second, but I'm blanking really hard on it right now. Walk to
Miles together.
a mile together. Sorry, really long day. I don't know why I couldn't do that. Really, well, my Vice Commissioner Abby Nuck, she is the lead girl for that, and I'd appreciate it if you guys, so I'll send around a sign-in thing, and if we could get a lot of people in Senate to sign up for the event. I just can't remember the date of either.
It's Tuesday.
Thank you. What did you say again?
It's Tuesday. Let me double check to make sure it's the 26th. Is the main event. The event goes all week. But
It's, yeah.
main event is Tuesday in Baker.
Yeah, sorry. So, if I could get a number participants as I pass around this piece of paper that I'm going to make, so we can get t-shirt sizes. And basically what you'll do is you're going to get a quick bystander intervention training, and then we'll have people riding up and down the Baker escalator showing support for the ending of power-based violence and educating passerbyers about bystander intervention techniques. Yeah, so I'll pass around a piece of paper for instance today.
And could you also send an ORSync email to the body about it?
Yeah.
Thanks. Senator Miller.
Hey everyone, so on top of being a senator, I'm also an intern in the mayor's office. And every other Monday at 6 p.m. in city council chambers, there's a city council meeting. And just like these general body meetings, there's an opportunity for citizens in the Athens community to speak out on things that they may feel like city council is ignoring. City council is currently going through an election where they're going to be electing a ton of new members to the council body. And I know there are things that I hear you guys mumbling about, whether it be trash fines or noise ordinances or whatever it may be if you live off campus or even if you live on campus. I just want to encourage you that there is an opportunity for citizens to speak out. Mayor Patterson really wants to work with students. He loves students. He used to be a professor, and he was really sad we had to give that up to become mayor. And he really wants to build connections with you all. So I would encourage you all to meet your city council members and also go to a city council meeting. They're a great opportunity to learn about what's happening in the city. Right now, Halloween is a huge thing they're talking about, and I'm sure you all are going to partake in that. And so if you have any concerns whatsoever with the city, I encourage you to go to those meetings.
Thank you. Black Affairs Commissioner Evans.
I would like to use this moment just to publicize our new Twitter page. We have it up and running. It's at OU_VSA. Go follow us, find out what our office hours are, where we will be, and anything that our constituents have on mind.
Thank you. Are there any of the senators with an announcement they'd like to make? Okay, moving forward. I'm sorry, no. Go ahead. Assistant Chief of Staff of Union.
I don't know if you guys noticed, I cleaned out the office. The office has a closet. Please do not mess up the closet. It was a long process. Yeah, just the closet, just the office, please. And please keep the office as clean as you can. And I don't know if you guys noticed, we have a new coffee pot making up, but that doesn't mean that you make a new pot of coffee like every hour. If you make one, please put a post-it note on when it was brewed. That way we aren't wasting money.
Thank you. Commissioner Mamone.
Somewhere there about the coffee pot, there's a little jar there, and like, if you want to drink coffee, you should put like a quarter in there. I know we can get more coffee.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Senator Felt.
Sorry, I didn't know if I was going to touch on this. Nicole Cromwell and I had a meeting yesterday with Nicholas as well, Nicholas Paredes, with the Latino Student Union president. We're going to be coordinating a little bit of a campaign. Hopefully we reached out to Sarah Deffa as well to coordinate like a campaign for hurricane relief efforts. Hopefully we'll have something that students could just donate to, whether they see the tweet or something. And then we're also going to do a string of fundraising events at various locations on campus. So I'll keep you all posted.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Seeing none, we'll move forward to presentations. Our first presentation will be conducted by our student trustees, Brooke Morrow and Faith Winovich. They will be touching on the August board meeting and anything else to do with the Board of Trustees. So give them a round of applause.
Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for having us here tonight. I'm Brooke Morrow.
I'm Faith Winovich.
And we're just going to give a brief synopsis on what happened at our August board meeting.
So I've not met everyone in this room. I hope to get to know each one of you. This is my first presentation to Student Senate as the junior student trustee member. I would love it if you guys would stop by the office. I'll be stopping by Student Senate as much as I can, but just want to start off with that I would love to get to know each one of you. And as we go through, if you've got any comments, we've got our contact information at the end. We'd love to hear from everyone here.
So we're starting off with our joint committee. We got an update at the August meeting about the affordability and efficiency of the university. This included a dashboard on Ohio University about certain key metrics. Some of those included the retention, tuition fees, and overall the student demographics. A few other things in there, but nothing else that was really of note or anything that was surprising. Past that, we went through the strategic enrollment management update. So this had to do with enrollment since Ohio University moved from our own application into the common application. So that ended up leading to a lot more people who applied to come to school here as of last year. Past that, we had a presentation about the coordinated response to sexual assault on campus. There's some differences in staffing this year, so we've expanded it out that there is an official area to go to. There was funding that was a little bit questionable for that last year. And also they updated us on the new policy for training faculty members about how to respond to these sorts of incidents. Past that, next up was our governance committee. We didn't have a lot to cover in the governance committee. The one main thing was we made a small change to the bylaws of the university that just moved it from the risk management committee to the audit and risk management committee. We found that that's just keeping up with the language used across most public universities in the state of Ohio. And then our annual governance review will be happening at the next meeting. So hopefully my next presentation to you all, I'll have a little bit more information on that. And finally, in academics, this ties in a little bit to the common application that I mentioned earlier and what's going on with that. Based on that move to the common application, we were expecting about 200 more students to enroll in Ohio University than ended up enrolling. This isn't a huge cause for concern, only because last year's enrollments were up by about 200 students. So it's not a huge difference. This is kind of just adjusting back down to what our average had been for the previous years. We also looked into the duplicate programs being offered. We had a presentation about that at our previous board meeting and then an update on it at this August meeting. There are a few programs that we'll be taking action on. There are 4 that are up for the opportunity for action, but only 1 that will likely be eliminated off of Ohio University's campus. And basically what this means is there is a peer institution that's nearby that offers the same program, and there are not a lot of students at Ohio University enrolled who would be missing out on it, and those who would be could enroll in the other program for a similar cost and the exact same credits. And past that, we had a point of pride out of the College of Business. So Dean Sherman was in there. They talked about their corporate partnerships with Sogeti, which is a company out of the Netherlands, I'm pretty sure. But some of their people and their workers come in to train at Ohio University, and there's also a summer program where Ohio University business students get to work with Sogeti and train with them, many of which are available for jobs after that.
So next up from there, the Resources Committee and Audit Committee were a little bit quieter for this. So some stuff going on in resources. We approved a project for the restrooms in Bryan Hall to be renovated. Yay! This project is going to allocate about $2 million and will be completed around FY19. The South Pole, that area below Nelson Commons, it's kind of by the parking garage. Some of you might be familiar with it. Will be renovated. They're looking to turn this into more of a center for South Green. So study rooms, office spaces will be created there, and aesthetically it will be so much nicer and cleaner than it is currently. $1 million project completed again, probably FY19. And then we approved the chilled water piping project, basically looping in North Green to the rest of the central chilled water loop as well. That doesn't say on there, but it's probably going to be about FY19 as well. In Audit Committee, we really didn't have that many news. Typically, no news is good news in that area, but the one thing we did have were positive results from audits, from 3 audits actually, the Ohio Department of Education, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and the Federal Aviation Administration. We passed all of these audits. We did not have any corrective measures that we had to follow up on, so good news in that area. And some other news from the board meeting, we are currently working with a search firm and looking for our next VPUA, and I believe I've reached out to Landon and Graduate Student Senate to be able to meet with the search firm as well this upcoming Tuesday, so he can hopefully voice his opinions on what you guys are looking for to the search firm. We spent the Friday of our board meeting looking at our productivity as a board, where we're going, our current status, things like that. President Nellis's investiture will be October 18th, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. In previous presidential investitures, they've actually allowed students to miss class to attend it. We are unsure at this point if that will be the same for this one. Faculty have raised concerns, have voiced their opinion that they want that to be the case, but it has not been made official yet. So hopefully we can get some outlook on that soon. And then our next meeting will be October 19th and 20th here on Athens campus. This is our contact information and our office hours. Our office is in Baker 305 next to the vending machines. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask us now. Feel free to send us an email or call us or text us as well. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns that we can address? Yeah.
Will the ambassador be open to students, and do you know where it will be?
It will be open to students. I believe it's going to be in front of Cutler, but I'm not entirely sure on that. The one thing, if you mean open to students, like students can attend, but we're not sure if it'll be an excused absence in class yet.
What was the question?
Will
it be open?
Will it be open to students?
It generally is, and it's in, I think, Vermont. So
It might be in Vermont.
Okay. So
Yeah.
still in the air.
I can follow up with Clinton on that as well. Any other questions or anything? Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Was there another question? I saw a hand.
That's all right, Landon. I
Okay.
can go to their office hours and ask them.
Okay, perfect. Our next presenter is our Senator of the Graduate College, Ms. Holbrook. She will be talking about the Graduate Employment Organization.
Hi, everyone. I want to make this very quick. So this is something that I've been not working on, but I went to their meeting and I was sent it because of it. So I want to give you guys a brief update on what this is. You'll probably be hearing about it. It was in the Athens News. They called them a union. They're not a union. That's illegal in Ohio. So GEO is the Athens Graduate Employment Organization. Exactly what it sounds. It's basically an initiative to get all graduate employees kind of on the same page. We are pretty dispersed among different groups, and so it's very difficult for us to talk to one another, figure out what our issues are, and then present these issues back to the university to address different changes. So this group is trying to advocate for that. It's very similar, I guess, to the faculty union. They have faculty senate. They also have a union. So that's kind of the dynamic that they're trying to go for, but again, they're not legally a union. That's illegal. So who are we? Like I just said, they're basically organizing to bring better working conditions to our graduate students on campus, specifically because graduate students are our teachers in a lot of sense. They do a lot of our research on campus. They make a really great name for our university, and so their working conditions are our learning conditions as well. And so the goal is that, how are we making sure that our graduate students are matching up to our peer institutions? How are we making sure that they're doing okay? So they've done a lot of research, and this is their 4 main demands. With this said, I want to make sure that you understand, they are very understanding that we are in a major budget issue. We understand that there's not going to be money thrown at graduate students anytime soon. But the idea is that if we're not advocating for ourselves, no one else will, and so what can happen in the long run, we're not saying we're going to do anything, but it's just a precautionary measure as well. So the first thing is increase subsidies for health insurance for graduate students, subsidize and reduce the graduate general fee, provide graduate parental leave, and increase support for international students. So these seem pretty big, so I'm going to dive into them a little bit. Really quickly, this is our stipend compared to our peer institutions. Y'all know what our peer institutions are. So we are the second lowest behind all of the others. Just something to keep in mind, and this is all data that they have gathered. This is where our general fee goes. So graduate students pay about $628 each semester in our general fee. And this is kind of a breakdown of where that goes. 34% is intercollegiate athletics, which I don't think most graduate students use. And so the whole point of this is that a lot of grad students do not use all of these facilities. So how are we addressing that with them paying about $1,200 each year for facilities that they don't use? We're not saying there's an answer to this, but these are just things that need to be addressed. So something they want to do is increase the buyout, have an opt-out option, kind of like how you opt out of health insurance or opt out of like the health or the what's the other one? No, I'm not saying that one because you should never opt out of your student legal service fee. You also shouldn't opt out. So But then the main one I think that I think is a good idea is implement a standard admission letter. So my admission letter looked different from someone who got admitted into another department, understandably. However, when we look at our graduate employment, when they start looking different, it starts getting complicated. There are some graduate assistants who are actually TAs, but they have a graduate assistant employment. There are some RAs, not resident assistants, but research assistants that have TA, expectations. And so it gets kind of complex, and that's the issue, is a lot of students come in and they don't know necessarily what their expectations are going to look like. So having that standardized would be helpful for incoming students. Graduate parental leave. 2 of our peer institutions offer 12 weeks of paid parental leave. 3 others offer 6. We would like to see about 6 weeks paid parental leave for a birthing parent, 3 weeks for non-birthing parents, and the ability to just continue your program. So that you're not going to be penalized if you happen to have a child. Weird. And then the last one is supporting international students. And this is something that all of Student Senate has done, all Graduate Student Senate has done. This is something that we just want to continue as well. And the main thing is requiring international students to purchase the student health insurance plan. So the reason this is done is because their visas require a certain level of health insurance. Just like all of we do, actually, to an extent. So when they come to Ohio University, it is generally easier to just have them onto our health plan, even if they already have a separate form of insurance. The problem is our health plan can get pretty expensive for international students pretty quickly. I don't have the data for this. So basically, the goal is to see if there's a way where our international students can opt out if they already have insurance that meets the visa requirements. We know that this includes a more intensive review process, but the goal is that is there an in-between measure than having our graduate students have to purchase this health insurance when they may already have something that meets the requirements. And then just a quick example, in other states they can't unionize, but so in other areas that have unions, they have better benefits than we do, and that's kind of the point of what we're going for. These are some of the peer institution data. It's pretty interesting. I'm not going to read that all to you. And what is GEO doing to achieve these goals? They want to just basically get graduate employees together to talk about these issues and see what their concerns are. Currently, they want to have as many people join as possible just so we can continue talking about these issues, and then put out a petition asking the president to meet these demands, but really just to have other students support the graduate employees. It's not so much that these demands are immediately going to be met. We understand that. We understand there's going to be a lot of discussion about that, but the point is to get the ball rolling and make sure that this is something that's being addressed. And that is it. Really quickly, they did create an entire report. We're going to do roll call next. They did create an entire report. It's 21 pages long. I've read it. It's really well done. So if y'all want to geek out over the data with me, let me know, and I can get you a report as well. Thanks, y'all.
So you had a working meeting about this because it is a complex issue, and you did a fantastic job of making it understood. But what feedback, comments, concerns did you get during the working meeting about this?
So something that President Landon mentioned was, so right now there is not a set way for graduate employment to get raises. There's not a steady process. It just kind of happens randomly, which we didn't really have that much information on. And so that's something is looking into how do we talk about raises for graduate assistantships? Is it going to be tied to a pool, a raise pool like the faculty and the staff have? So that's something that we mentioned. Something else that has come up is why isn't this part of GSS? It's just because GSS is representing all graduate students and they represent, their colleges specifically. And so this is kind of just an arm to that. So their goal is to not be a conflict of interest in that in any way as well.
I think that's mainly all we talked about, but Amal?
So I'm on the school's insurance plan because technically. Is there any way that the school could either find a way that they could provide a different one for international students or students that have to opt into that? Because I think the issue that I found, this insurance only covers 80% of everything. It's It's not certain things. Whereas like my insurance at home covers 100%, so I'm like paying more for nothing. And like you said, the school doesn't let me like opt out of it. So is there a way that they offer a separate one just for us, if that's like possible at all?
That's a good idea.
Just to follow up with that, our vice provost for international affairs and global studies, so if there are certain things, certain pointed questions you have, you can set up a meeting with her. Okay?
And again, this is not saying like all of this needs to get done today or is going to happen in the next week. It is just one of those things. This conversation hasn't happened yet, and we would like to get it started. So now I'm done.
Any other? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll touch on it during my report. But for presentations and how we move forward on things, with large issues like Graduate College Senator Colbert mentioned, we will be having working meetings so we can come together in a small, intimate setting to talk about larger issues before it comes to the Senate body, so we can have good deliberations about it and we can hash out problems with it. Because I don't want us to rush on things that are important. So those working meetings, there were only 6 people there, but it was a good conversation. We talked about other things that we missed, but I would recommend if you see another working meeting in your email, come. It counts as an office hour, and then it gives these person who's presenting, and hopefully they bring a bill to us later. That's the end result of this, is to wait a couple of weeks or so, bring a bill, and us to vote on how we feel about the issue. But we really want everyone to kind of work together and hash out all the problems. So that's kind of what we're going to do going forward with large pieces of legislation. Okay, moving on to roll call. Will the Chief of Staff please call roll?
President Lama.
Present.
Vice President Schneider.
Present.
Treasurer Woods.
Present.
Commissioner Estrada. Senator Ake. Senator Hipwell.
Here.
Senator how do you pronounce your last name? No, Graber. Okay. Sorry. Senator Owens.
Oh, present.
Senator Rises.
Present.
Senator Torno.
Present.
Senator DeVille.
Proxy.
Senator Holbrook.
Here.
Senator Madison.
Here.
Senator Kaneline.
Here.
Commissioner Evans.
Present.
Senator Ashley.
Present.
Commissioner Ramwell.
Present.
Commissioner Mamone.
Present.
Commissioner Fuku. Senator Hartman.
Present.
Commissioner Chinook.
Present.
Did I pronounce it right?
Shannon.
Shannon? Okay. Senator Ayers. Senator Cruz.
Proxy.
Acting Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Senator Hajabandi.
Proxy.
Senator Leaker.
Present.
Commissioner Freight.
Present.
Senator Myers.
Present.
Senator Collins. Commissioner Lundy. Senator Sloat.
Present.
Senator Spaulding. Proxy. Senator Jones.
Present.
Senator Jackson.
Present.
Commissioner Harder.
Present.
Senator Feeney.
Present.
Senator Eliopoulos.
Present.
Senator Cromley.
Present.
Senator Miller.
Present.
Senator Felt.
Here.
Senator Deering.
Here.
Senator Randall.
Present.
Commissioner Burke.
Present.
Senator Reed.
Here.
Senator Kiefer.
Present.
Senator Clear. Or Commissioner Clear. I did that 2 weeks in a row. Senator Schneider.
Present.
Senator Williams.
Present.
And Clerk of Courts Marachka.
Thank you, John. Next on our agenda is, are there any additions to tonight's agenda?
I motion to add Senate Resolution 171815 to the agenda. A resolution to appoint a Russ College of Engineering Senator to the Academic Affairs Commission.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of adding Senate Resolution 171815 to the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, it's added to the agenda.
I move to add Resolution 1718-16, a resolution to appoint the members of the Budget Committee.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to add Resolution 1718-16 to the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's been added to the agenda. Are there any other additions to the agenda for this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to adopting the previous meeting minutes of the September 6th meeting.
Move to adopt the minutes.
Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved and seconded to approve the previous meeting minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? The minutes pass. We do not have any old business. There are a few items of new business. There we go. Okay. The first one is Senate Resolution 1718-12, a resolution to create Senate in-services. Whereas the Ohio University Student Senate is a governing body.
Second.
Okay. Primary sponsor, Vice President Schneider.
Okay, so Senate in-services are something that we developed 2 years ago, and we actually have been doing them for the past year as well. So it's just doing 2 workshops per semester. So we thought that this was actually in the rules, and then the other day, Sam Miller emailed me to ask more about the Leadership Development Committee. And so John pulled the rules up, and it didn't have this in here because it's their job to kind of like plan these throughout the course of the semester. So we dug the resolution back up and are going to have it officially in the rules now. So I reserve the balance of my time.
Okay, secondary sponsor myself. This is a great idea. It's good for training. But I yield the balance of my time to Clerk of Court Marachka to discuss what was discussed in the judicial panel since it is a rule change.
Yeah, we pretty much discussed that it would just be something good for you guys to do. That I reserve the balance of my time.
Okay, is there any discussion on the resolution? Commissioner Evans.
Would this be external workshops? Would it be workshops sponsored by Senate and like an additional Saturday thing? Because I know for other organizations I'm a part of, there are workshop requirements. So what are like the standards for these workshops that we have to do?
We've decided it would be the hour before Senate, so it's not very different than normal time. So if anybody does have any time conflicts with that, we can work it out. So if it's a time conflict for you, we can have one of those other organizations in services count.
Yeah, generally, that's what we did. That's what we've done for the past couple of years. And yeah, it's training for us. And we bring people in. So 2 years ago, we did bystander intervention training. Yeah, I think it was better bystanders again. So yeah, and I misspoke to Nicole. It doesn't have to be the hour before Senate. We can, I'm sorry, but we can find out a time that we'll probably put a poll up on WorkSync to find out what works for everyone. Are there any other questions? Comments or concerns? Okay, seeing none. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to vote on Resolution 1718-12. All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions? Okay, the resolution passes with 1 nay. Let the record reflect. Resolution 1718-13, a resolution to appoint a chair of the Budget Committee. Whereas, in the Ohio University Student Senate Rules and Procedures. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to suspend the reading. Primary sponsor, Chief of Staff Schlosser.
Yeah, so in the Rules and Procedures, the Budget Committee must be chaired by a member of Senate who served on the Budget Committee the year prior. The only real person in Senate to fulfill that requirement would be Treasurer Woods. I know it's kind of weird to have Zach be the temporary treasurer of a committee, basically set up to check the power of the treasurer. But I discussed with the judicial panel report should
clear it up a little bit. Which I'm going to yield my time to Alexis Marachka, Clerk of Court.
I'll be a little bit more prepared with this one. So pretty much in our meeting we talked about the fact that this is like a necessary thing. It does a little weird, as John said, having him check himself, but there's no one else who's able to fulfill this position, and it's something that's totally essential. So
Thank you. Secondary sponsor, Vice President Schneider.
So just agreeing with what they both said, I think one of the most important things is the last line. It clarifies that this is only until an eligible chair is chosen. So it's not going to be all of Zach's term that he'll be serving in this. It's just till we kind of get budget committee going and can have somebody else serve as the chair. So it's an interim position. So I reserve the balance of my time.
Okay, is there any discussion on the resolution? Yes, Senator Randall.
Yes, I just have a quick question. So if no one else fills like the qualifications for this, and he's going to be replaced at like the middle of the semester, is it going to be one of those budget numbers that are being made?
Yes, so I'm just serving as temporary chair right now, so that when the people that will hopefully be appointed tonight in Resolution 16, so when they are more comfortable with budget committee and they learn the ropes of it, then me and Nicole and Landon will then appoint someone from there, and they will meet the requirements of 1, having a vote in the student general body, and 2, serving on the committee before.
Thank you, that was a great question. Any other discussion? Commissioner Evans.
What are the responsibilities of this position required for you to be checking? Like, what are you going to do to check yourself, basically?
So that's always a term that's said that it's in charge of checking the treasurer, but it's not really actually what it does. The main role of budget chair is to chair the budget committee, which just oversees the internal budgets that come through from any of you. That's just the first check of that budget, and really that is just how that committee works every year, is how each executive group tasks them. So in the past years, it's really just been checking the numbers, making sure they're finding the best prices and all the numbers are adding up correctly. So it's really just math. And then talking about if it is aligned with the Constitution of Ohio University Student Senate. And then once that's either voted, or we will then vote on it, and it will go through. And as it goes through, which it usually does, the entire Senate body will actually have to find the same.
So every budget submitted to the budget committee has to come to the Senate body. They can just give a report saying, we think this is a bad source of funding, or like, it's kind of like how Alexis can give reports on rule changes, but the judicial panel can't say like, hey, you shouldn't do this, or hey, you should.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to vote on the resolution. All those in favor of resolution 171813, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Resolution passes with one abstention. Senate Resolution 171814, a resolution to appoint a senator to the Women's Affairs Commission. Whereas stated in the Senate. Okay. Commissioner Burke, primary sponsor.
Okay, so this is to appoint another senator to my commission, Robin. This is Robin. Hi, Robin. She seems really great. She seems really hardworking and driven, and has already raised some great concerns that the commission can work on. And I'm really excited to have her. I reserve the balance.
Thank you. Secondary sponsor, Vice President Schneider.
Okay, so I haven't gotten to meet Robin personally, but I looked over her application a ton. I think she is going to be perfect for the commission, and I trust Hannah's judgment fully. I just want to propose one friendly amendment to the resolution. Just change Vice President to say Vice President Dent. I don't know. it. I reserved the ballot for time.
Let it be noted that Vice President Schneider. Okay, so it's been an amendment is on the floor. Is there a second to the amendment? Second. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the amendment passes. Remember, if you motion to vote, you must say a motion to vote with friendly amendment. Okay, is there any other discussion on the resolution?
Move to vote with friendly amendment.
All those in favor of Resolution 17-18-14, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Resolution passes. So this was our addition to the agenda, Resolution 17-18-15, a resolution to appoint. Just a point of order. I'm going to read the whole resolution so we all know exactly what we're voting on.
The title, not the actual resolution, right?
Yeah, just the title. A resolution to appoint a Rusk College of Engineering senator to the Academic Affairs Commission. Okay, so it's been suspended. Primary sponsor, Commissioner Attrell.
Yes, I'll be speaking for Caleb Saunders over here. I got to know him pretty well last year. He was a resident of my building. He's a pretty incredible human being, very charismatic, very driven. He's a fifth generation Bobcat in the College of Engineering. So I'm very confident in his abilities. And I'm excited to have him commission, so I strongly urge you to appoint him.
Thank you. Secondary sponsor, Vice President Schneider.
So I got to meet Caleb last week for his interview, and he was really impressive. If you look at his resume and application, it makes you want to join more organizations so that yours looks that good. But I'm really excited to have him aboard, and hope you guys vote yes. I reserve the balance of your time.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the matter? It's been moved and seconded to vote on Resolution 17-18-15. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the resolution passes. Resolution 17-18-16, a resolution to appoint the members of the Budget Committee, whereas the Ohio University Student Senate. Primary sponsor, Treasurer Woods.
So first, I'm going to propose an amendment. I wrote this 20 minutes before the meeting tonight. So line 6, it says that Jacob Haskins is appointed the chair of an internal budget committee. That's me. So we're going to strike that line.
So line 6 and 7. It's been recommended. An amendment is on the floor to remove line 6 and 7 from the resolution.
Point of information: you can't amend a budget committee resolution.
I move to table this resolution until the thank you, John. I move to table this resolution until it is fixed. And I will. It's been seconded. So we'll go.
Could we suspend the rule on amending a budget committee resolution?
Yes, we need this budget committee. Please suspend the rule. Yes.
Okay, so we'll just bring it back in real quick because I do want to make sure that it's okay with our clerk of court because suspension. So just so everyone knows, suspension of the rules have to go through the judicial panel. We can't just throw it out on the floor. So we're getting a nod. That's fine from the judicial panel. I will retract my motion to table. And I will then motion to suspend the rule upon consent of the judicial panel. Is there a second on suspending the rule? Second. Okay, so the record, we're suspending the rule to make amendments to the, because you can't. That's one rule in the rules that say you can't amend appointments to budget committee. So it's a little error. So a lot of procedure, but so as of right now, we will go forward with this. Lines 6 and 7 will be stricken from the resolution. I don't think Did everyone second and vote on that? I forget.
No.
Okay, so, yeah, John, thank you. So, the amendment's on the floor, do I hear a second? All those in favor of amending it to remove lines 6 and 7, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions. Okay, it's amended. Now, we will go back to Treasurer Wood's time that has been given to him.
Okay, so I want to apologize for that. That was my bad. So I did a little bit of pulling teeth trying to get all 7 members, but we finally have them, week 3. I believe everyone, all senators, all 7 will be perfect for this. I think they will look at the budgets critically and challenge any issues that they might see. And I reserve the balance of my time real quick. Actually, I don't. If your name is on this, please stand up just so everyone knows who you are. So I know Nick is here, Zach, Alyssa, Olivia, Abby. Say hi.
Stand up.
Oh, okay. Zach, I reserve the balance of my time. Thank you. Secondary sponsor, Vice President Schneer.
Okay, so I know Zach worked really hard getting people on the committee up until the deadline of right now. So I fully believe that the people he has chosen are going to be great, and I reserve the balance of 10.
Remember, if you motion to vote, you must do so with friendly amendment.
Motion to vote with friendly amendment.
Second.
All those in favor of Resolution 17-1816, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Well, that was all 6 of you, right? Okay. Resolution passes with 6 abstentions. Okay, so we're going to move on to commissioner reports. That's not up yet. Go back. There we go. Okay, it's not up there, but it's on the written agenda you all got. So, commission reports. So, Nicole, if you would like to say who's giving a report tonight.
Okay, it's an email to John, which is the first half of the alphabet of commissioners, where I don't believe, I can't remember where it stops. It's yes, the first 6 commissions in alphabetical order. And I emailed those.
Okay,
I didn't
that's
have
fine.
We'll work
Sorry.
on it. So academic affairs is going to be first, obviously. Cool.
Okay, I don't have much of a report right now. My senators are meeting with their deans and sending emails to their special constituents, getting to know them and introduce themselves. That's about the election on hand.
Cool. Okay, Black Affairs.
As I said earlier, we just launched our social media page. As I said during my retreat, that's one of our initiatives, trying to increase visibility on campus. I have my senators and my vice commissioners, or they have amongst themselves gotten themselves involved in Black organizations on campus, so we're showing our faces there. I plan on in the next few upcoming weeks to meet with the presidents of orgs that are, that reach my constituents to a level that I think I can not by myself. So, yeah.
Environmental affairs.
Hi everyone, so I'm going to try to make my report really short because there's a lot going on in our commission, which is very exciting. So we met with Office of Sustainability last Friday, and we're hoping to set up a tour of the facility, the composting facility, within the next few weeks, and we know what's happening, talk to the consultants, see what we need to do for fundraising. Also just making students aware that we cannot compost to-go boxes and cups and so forth. With the technology, they are compostable, we just cannot compost them, so I'm clear that up. We're hoping also to increase the number of composting bins on campus, also looking to alternative methods for composting off campus. I went to the CSDC meeting Monday. I talked about possibly advertising more that there is a tax on plastic bags. I don't know if anyone else knows this, but when you go to the markets, plastic bags do cost a penny. So we're trying to figure out how to advertise that to students and get movement going to use reusable bags. I'm having a meeting with the Ridges Advisory Committee on Friday to discuss the construction of the ridges and see what's happening with that. We're hoping to bring a sustainability plan presentation to you later this semester. And also, another note from the CSDC meeting, they're looking to possibly use reusable to-go boxes, and they're thinking about methods and how to go about doing that
advice or comments or questions, please talk to me so I can talk to them. That'd be great. And I yield my balance of time to my Vice Commissioner if she has anything to say.
I have nothing to add, Lydia. Okay, governmental affairs.
As of today, we got in contact with candidates running for the City Council at Large position. There are 5 positions, there are 3 positions, there are 5 candidates. And we're going to try to set up a forum. We have heard back from several of those candidates. Senator Jackson has been assisting me in contacting those people. He's been doing a great job with that. In addition, tomorrow we'll be writing an agenda to meet with Eric Bouchard to discuss legislation that's upcoming in the United States House. Anybody who has any input on things that we talk about is obvious, like this speech act and stuff like that. There's also an act that's been presented. Actually, the person's Barnes contacted us and they said that they wanted to do a conference call with students to discuss it, and I think that's awesome that they want to do it. It's called the Respect Your Date Act. I don't think anything's going to change or way ahead of the game. That's the extent of it.
And then just point of information, Eric Bouchard is the university's governmental relations representative. So if you do think of things that we should be pushing him to kind of lobby on, or things that interest us that we'd like to hear information on, let Matt know. And then just a quick snippet about the bill you mentioned, the what's the state, the date one? Respect Your Date. That has to do with sexual assault prevention and other things. So, like Matt said, we are significantly ahead of the game compared to other universities.
Okay, international affairs.
Karen's not here.
Now I don't know.
Is there anyone, Erica, do you have any updates?
Not specifically, but I know that we did a lot of interviews this week, so we're putting in some resolutions for new members to add to our team, coming super soon. And then our first event should be an afternoon speaking on slavery in today's world, so sex trafficking, child soldiers, things like that. October 18th, so if you got on your calendars.
And do you have a time for that?
Not yet. That's a Wednesday, so we have this meeting, so it'll be sometime before 7:15.
Okay. LGBT affairs.
Right, so if you all recall the commission presentations at the retreat, one of the primary events that we wanted to host was something with Mental Health Awareness Week. So Mental Health Awareness Week, as per NAMI, which stands for the National Alliance for Mental Illnesses, their Mental Health Awareness Week is October 1st to the 7th, which is coming up in like 3 weeks from tomorrow. Actually, is the event that we're planning. It's going to be on October 5th at 7 p.m. in Baker. I'm not 100% sure which room it's going to be in yet, but we're working on that. I'm working with Megan Irvin, one of the event planners. But just a few details on the event. We are having 5 guest speakers. It's going to be a panel type discussion. We are having 2 of which who are PhD clinical psychology professors here at the university. We're having a master's student from the university in sociology, and she also has a focus on WGSS. We are having Delphine, the director of the LGBT Center. And then also, we're excited to have, his name is Dave Mawissa, and he is somebody who works for the local Athens chapter of NAMI. So we're excited to have him join us as well. And we are going to be focusing on 2 main themes at the event. One, we're going to be focusing on breaking the stigma in regards to mental health issues, as well as learning ways to recognize the warning signs of mental health deficiencies within friends and family members. And then secondly, we are going to be touching on how mental illnesses can affect different groups of people differently. So LGBT students, women, college students, etc. And yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Moving on, Senate committee reports. So those are our internal committees. Don't think we have any reports for that tonight. Other than, do you have anything to touch on in your committee?
Actually, I was going to talk about this later, but I had people come up to me after the last meeting interested in the Leadership Development Committee, and so I know I have a few emails so we can set up those people, but if you were somebody that came up to me after the meeting last time, just go ahead and send me an email reminder just so I remember, because I got some texts and some people in person, so just kind of trying to keep it all in the same space would be nice. Thanks.
Thank you. University committee reports. So our director of university relations has been in communication with the president's office. The names of committee reps should go out by the end of the week, so you'll know if you've been officially appointed to them. Make sure you coordinate with him once you find out, because if you can't attend a meeting or something like that, we would like to find an alternate. The meeting times have been set up, they've more than likely been set up already by the chair. So we want to make sure we have student representation there. We're not just reading the meeting minutes, so you'll be coordinating a lot with Marco on that. But I have an update. So I serve on the Joint Police Advisory Council, and we are having a significant event coming up on the 26th of this month. It's called JPAC Barbecue on the Bricks. That is from 5 to 7, and it is on the 26th, I think it's a Tuesday. I think that's right. That will happen outside the top of Baker, so there will be road closures. We're expecting about 1,000 people. There will be free food, and it's your time to interact with Athens Police and OU Police. It has been well attended in years past. President Nuss will be there, the mayor will be there, and other highway patrol people, the sheriff's office, those are other officers, just then APD and OUPD. So I recommend you all go. It will happen right before our Senate meeting, and the rain delay is the next day, and the rain date is next day, same time, same place. I'll also be, so this could be connected, but who knows. They distributed this was done last year, and it's still up for review, but a guide to public demonstrations. So kind of like a do's and don'ts, and it's still under review, and as a member of the committee, I will send you all the document if you have any updates. It's really good. It outlines a lot of stuff that demonstrators can do, what they should do to prepare if they're going to have a demonstration. So, this is a really hot time to talk about, demonstrations and you exercising your freedom, your First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So I'll send that out in an email for your comments. And I have another report, but I'll wait till that for my president to give that, since it's a little bit more in depth. Oh, well, it's mine now. So we'll just go to my report. But, okay, so I serve on Budget Planning Council, and that is a group of faculty, staff. There are only 2 students. Oh, no, Brooke and, Faith is here. Faith and Brooke are on it, as well as student trustees. But we discuss everything to do with the budget and what goes into that. So there were a lot of things going around tonight about general fee. A good handful of you are probably on the Ohio Guarantee. The seniors in the room, and those that are in the 5th year or 6th year, you're not. So I will be giving updates on what we talk about at the end of every month, because I don't want to give an update every week about it, because 1, we only meet bi-weekly, and 2, it's a lot to take in. So there will be significant things later on in the year about tuition increases, room and board increases, so I want to make sure I'm educating you all throughout the process, so then when I do have to vote on things, I have your input on how you think I should vote. So we'll be giving updates on that. Like I said, the free speech guide, retreat feedback. We had put in everyone's folder a half slip for retreat feedback. We forgot to mention that at the end of the retreat to get you all to fill it out. So if you have any recommendations, what you would like to see next year, if you're so in the body, if you need more education on things, reach out to one of the three of us. We'll take those comments, we'll update them, and we'll tell the executives for next year, what we recommend. And then, of course, if you need extra education on items, reach out to your commissioners as well. They're pretty well versed. For those who weren't there, we'll try and give you a packet of everything that we discussed so you can kind of stay up to date on things. The President's Task Force on Diversity and Inclusion. So last year the 5 Senates met and we discussed the need to have a task force on diversity and inclusion. They had a lot of goals last year. They sadly didn't get to all of them. The 5 Senates met last week, and we decided we want to recommend to reinstate that to President Nellis. So I emailed out our commissions that deal with diversity and inclusion areas. We have one more spot open. So basically, if you're from either LGBTQA Commission, Black Affairs Commission, Women's Affairs, Minority Affairs, and International Affairs, if you're interested in serving on that, or you know anyone in the community that would be interested in that, please have them reach out to me. Their primary job this year, as of right now, is to send out a climate-ish survey on diversity and inclusion offices. So, yeah, Kate.
Is it a requirement to be on those commissions? To be able to be on?
Oh, no. I'm just recommending that those groups. But if you are extremely passionate about it, please go ahead and email me. But like I said, we do only have one spot left. We do have 3 reps, but I'm re-nominating the people who were on it last year that still want to stay involved with it since they did do a lot of work. But thank you for that. But yeah, so if you're interested, come back, let me know, or if you know people who are interested, tell them to get with me. City Council lunch. So we do this every year. We'll be having a City Council Senate lunch late at the last Friday of this month. I'll send out more information about it, time, place, and I will need RSVPs because of food. But that's something we do every year. It's a good connection with the Governmental Affairs Commission, Off-Campus Commission, Senate as a whole, to be with City Council and meet and chat about things. My last thing is, and I appreciate, actually not my last thing, no, it is, the policy on the freedom of speech. So there has been a lot going on about it. As you know, Senate and the other Senates and other people on campus are reviewers of the policy. So I just want to give you some initial information about it before we will have a larger conversation about this next week. We will devote at least half an hour of our agenda to it so we can get all the public comment out. But basically, the Freedom of Expression Policy 24.014, that is a brand new policy that is in interim use, so that means that it's in effect, but it has to be renewed. The policy procedure on campus is super confusing. I've tried to review how it goes. Zach and I reviewed it the other day. Other Senate chairs and I have reviewed it. It is a complex system, wouldn't you say? So it's definitely a learning process. I will try and educate you all as best as I can on it. But like Zach said, you're more than welcome to Google Administrative Policy Manual Ohio University. Look at it. But I expressed my concerns at the Faculty Senate meeting on Monday. This policy did go into effect on August 17th. I did not find out about it till the 7th, that afternoon. And then I'm pretty sure I emailed you all right away about it, or I emailed you about it the next day. I told Faculty Senate that it was extremely concerning that it took almost a month for us to be told that this policy was in interim use, because then it only then gave us another month to gather input and to potentially gather 20,000 if every student participated. To gather all that information and go through it, if we were really operating at a level we should be, that would take us more than a month to sift through everything. So I did express my concern for that, especially since I talked at the Board of Trustees meeting on the 23rd, which was a couple days after, of course. I said my primary concern on campus is First Amendment protections, and I then still wasn't told about the policy. policy. So it was concerning because I brought up specifically that I am concerned about freedom of speech issues because of Charlottesville and other things that we've seen on campus, and then to not be given an update that this was in the works was also pretty upsetting. But we'll talk more about that next week. The policy on use of outdoor space on Athens campus, that is a revised policy. That has been on the books. There are a couple changes. You can go on and see track changes for the document. There's not a lot of substance that's been, there's not a lot of information in there that's been updated, but it is also an interim use. So that's that. It just has to do with preserving space outdoors. And then finally, President Nellis, Dr. DeScutner, and the 5 Senates will be meeting Friday morning at 8 a.m. to discuss this, to discuss how we move forward. We are looking at potential options of a referenda, but we can't really move forward until we know what an updated draft document looks like. Because as is, if we were to take this to the student body, I do not think it would be in a seal of approval, if we want to put it like that. So we're going to revisit our options as a whole Senate. I don't want it to be just an executive team decision on how we're going to move forward, but I would like to potentially see us have a student body vote on the matter because we have the protections in place. We can do that. But yeah, that's a lot. Are there any questions about that I can answer? Commissioner Evans.
You said the meeting was at 8 on Friday. Do you know where it is?
Oh, it's a closed meeting. Yeah. But I will update you all about what we discussed. But yeah, no, I'll update you all about what we discussed. I just wanted to be transparent with you all that the meeting is happening and we're just not twiddling our thumbs. Any other comments, concerns? Okay. Next report.
Okay, I have a little bit less than Landon. So first, I just want to thank everyone for a great retreat. It was awesome that everyone was actually participating, and I think we came up with some great ideas for our commissions. So with commissions, I want to start having like a monthly commissioner meeting. All the commissions meet together. So our first one is going to be Sunday at 6, and I'm going to send you an email tomorrow with the set location of that. This Sunday? Is that bad? Is that really bad?
You just said Sunday.
Oh yeah. This Sunday, right? Sorry. I don't know why I was bringing up. Okay, yes, this Sunday. Well, yes, John.
Is this a just commissioner meeting, or is it vice commissioners? All of
just commissioners, but if you can't attend, then send your vice commissioner. So we're going to do that monthly unless we see that there's something bigger happening that we need to do more than monthly. So the first one, this Sunday at 6, I'll send out an email to you all what room we have and just to remind you all about that. Cool. Next, I sent commissioners an email at the beginning of the week, so I hope you all saw it on OrgSync. But we're trying to make sure that the website is completely up to date, so just double check what it says about your specific commission. Just write or send Sarah Deflabaugh like an updated paragraph about your commission if you don't really like it. Make sure your contact information is correct so that can all be finalized. And then, yeah, I think the last thing is just going to be next week. My one-on-ones are going to be with Monday and Wednesday commissioners. But if you're a Tuesday, Thursday commissioner and you're like worried about something, you can still text me and come in whenever. So, yes.
Do we have commission emails? I haven't heard something about those.
It's Senate, so across the board, it's Senate. Example, Black Affairs at ohio.edu. So Senate your commission name and then affairs. The only one that's different is so you all the commissioners get that email automatically to your account. It's already been set up to automatically forward to you. And then we as execs have it as well. Sadly, none of you have received an email, but we have released press releases in the past couple of days, and that's what we're using to contact people. So, yeah.
So, because of that, we don't need to have the email or the password.
There's no password. Yep, it goes straight to you. Javanto set that up. What a great guy. if he's watching the live stream. Probably not, though. Sarah will share that with you. Sarah Defferbo will share the commission email with the commissioners, so you can put it on your Twitter. Sorry.
No, and my report.
Okay, so first thing, congrats to the Life Commission. I have turned in to Chubb Hall $451.66 without the Venmo that Sam Miller is currently getting allocated over to me for Hurricane Irma relief. So give them a round of applause. That brings me to my next point. Anytime that any of your commissions want to do anything with money, just please come talk to me. I promise you this is not a thing where you to tell you no. I just want to know exactly how you're going to go about it. Fundraisers, it's all okay, but like Abby, I was talking to Abby and they mentioned that they might want to start like a GoFundMe. There's just better options than GoFundMe. I know some of you might have already know it takes like 30-something% of anything that you make, which for charitable reasons like hurricane relief, you don't really want 30% of any money that you take in to go to a company. So just come talk to me if you're going to do any fundraising. Obviously, if you're wanting to spend from your discretionaries, anything like that, please just come talk to me real quick so we can just work out the logistics of it. Auditors. So we still need some auditors. We've been getting, Haley has been meeting with and interviewing some. We've gotten 2 new ones so far. We've got more than 2. Well, we've gotten 4 new ones so far. So that brings us, now we need 5 more. So we need 5 more, so please keep reaching out to your friends, reach out to your other orgs, your group meetings, and let us know. Give us some names. You can either give those to me or better yet, Haley, because I just forwarded them on right to her. So please do that. We're almost full, which is great. It's really good for staff to not have to be writing on that. Yeah.
If you know anyone, can you have them email stack@ohio.edu just automatically?
Come on.
Wouldn't it be smart to maybe go like to a specific auditing business class and just know the idea?
We're going to be going to accounting classes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I just want to apologize that I'm such more than a mess that I usually am. To the hospital today, I'm fine. You're putting me on some pain meds, so I'm a little weird right now. So sorry about that. Let's go to the numbers.
Very transparent.
Right. In Senate, we have $25,285.24 allocated but not yet spent, $15,146.48. In SAC, we have $44,442.57, and U Fund, we have $89,145.58. We did have our first SAC GBM this Sunday, so that's awesome. We funded 4 orgs: Ohio Women's Crew, Men's Crew, Better Bystanders, and Feminist Equality Movement. If you want to know exactly what those were for and how much was allocated out, but you don't want to hear me read every single one, please come talk to any member of SAC or me, and we can let you know how that went. And those numbers are true and accurate to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you. Chief of Staff.
So Nicole didn't mention it, but she's been conducting interviews the past week for open positions. If you know anybody who might be interested in any position, have them apply on OrgSync. All the executives, we can push that out as much as possible on Twitter or whatnot, but you guys have to tell your friends. One big thing that we're doing next week is everybody's getting student orgs. In the rules and procedures, week 4, everybody must be presented at least 5 student orgs to represent. The organizational liaison and myself, Taylor, we got the list from Jonathan Renard yesterday. So we're sitting down, sorting through it. Certain commissions will get certain orgs. So like Women's Affairs will get mostly women's orgs. There's a form on OrgSync that I released today. Just fill it out, put whatever organization you're in. So like, for example, Sam Torno, ACRN. I'll also put a link in my Friday email about office hours. Let's see, Marco. He's been working hard on university committees, making sure we get those out sometime this week. Some of you saw his multiple emails about the Patton College openings. To serve on those committees, you must be inside the Patton College. Tabling, I'm going to send out another sign-up sheet around in my email on Friday. Thank you to all of you that were tabling today. I saw a lot of you just stopping by. A lot of people asked, like, hey, what is Student Senate? What do you guys actually do? Let's see, office hours. A lot of people are still kind of confused on the difference between the two forms. Fall semester hours, those are the ones that are posted to the public. Office hours week 1, 2, and now 3. Those are the ones that you fill out every single week. It's very annoying. Even if you serve them and don't fill out the form, I still have to give you a point because I'm not sure like if you actually did serve them. So even this past week, like I'm always in the office and I still gave myself a point because I forgot to fill out the form, just like everybody else. So you gotta fill out the form. Yeah, two of the executives forgot to fill out. I'm not gonna name who. Zach, don't overreact.
You closed the form early, so we talked about that. That's your fault.
You went on there.
It was closed.
All right. Fill out your forms. That's the end of my report, I think.
One second. Intern Director Brown.
Hello. Okay, so
Oh, the interns. I forgot.
I and Jacob Haskins conducted intern interviews on Sunday. We have an intern with us, so would you like to stand up and introduce yourself?
Me and everybody. I'm Nathaniel White. I'm a freshman. I'm doing pre-engineering, and also I'm from Houston, Texas.
Ooh. We have 12 interns. If anybody knows anybody that would be interested in being an intern, please have them contact Jacob, John, or I. I will be sending emails to commissioners to come speak at our meetings. Our meetings are usually on Mondays at 7:30. I just want to give the interns kind of an overview of what your commission does. And then mentors, those will be assigned probably in the upcoming week. So just be looking out for emails on that. So, thank you.
I feel very attacked. Next week, I'll come more prepared. Warning for stuff next. But, guys, nothing to report.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have anything?
It's not here.
Okay.
Oh, real quick. So next week we're having executive
Major's
evals,
fair.
so please encourage your entire commission to come if they can. Have to come, but it's just really good to get all the feedback that we can. And also we will be doing commissioner evals and commission evals, which are new this year, and those are in the works. So just be ready. Not next week, but those will be coming soon. So be ready for those.
Okay, it's Parents Weekend. Somebody else mentioned that. I always like to say we're never going to not have parent and family weekends because people love them. But I always want to remember the folks that don't have parents or don't have parents that are able to come. So if you were lucky enough to have parents and lucky enough to have parents that are able to be here, it's really nice if you can make sure that your parents take on the Bobcat with you throughout Parents Weekend. I would also like to say for the first time ever, we're having an open event to anybody who wants to come. Parents do not have to RSVP, but we're having really nice heavy hors d'oeuvres in the ballroom Friday night from 5:30 to 7:30. Open event. If your parents or anybody, really, if you just want to come 5:30. Our Ohio Parents Advisory Council is hosting it, and most of the leadership in addition to student parents will be there, so it'll be a nice opportunity to chit chat. And if your parents are coming, you'd love to meet them. So 5:30 to 7:30 Friday evening. Bless you.
Heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Heavy hors d'oeuvres. It means like you can kind of have dinner. That's what it means. Like we're not promising you dinner. It just means it's like good food. Okay. Dinner for college students. And then the other thing I wanted to say, I know you're volunteering at the wall. I'm volunteering at the wall tomorrow. If you did not notice on your way over to Baker, we have the Wall That Heals, which is a replica of the Vietnam wall in Washington, D.C. It's exactly half-size replica of the actual wall. Cool facts, in case you did not know this, that there are 58,318 names on that wall of service people, men and women who died during the Vietnam War. Boots on the ground, guys, a lot that were over there. The other kind of interesting and amazing fact is that the person who was the architect behind the wall won a blind competition when she was in college. Her name is Maya Lynn, and she's from Athens, Ohio. She graduated from Athens High School, and both of her parents worked at Ohio University. And she is the one that the students call it Punch Card Park. It's actually called Bicentennial Park. But when this building was built, there was a time in the state where a percentage of the buildings on any state property that were newly built, a percentage of that had to go to art. And the art installation of the Bicentennial Park is by Maya Lynn. And so like the Vietnam Wall that she created is basically sitting on her memorial that she created for Ohio University. So it's kind of cool. You should check it out. It starts tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and it will be open and available for people to come by 24 hours until, like a day, day or night, until 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. I would recommend that you see it at night. It's really striking. Anybody else volunteering at the wall?
I was going to Connor, do you remember, like, looking for the Southern Property Justice Law Center, like, what was that place called?
Say an email, what?
Do you remember what that, like, the museum we went to in?
Oh my gosh, I don't know, we went to so many.
Yeah, no, it was Southern Poverty Law Center.
We went, and there was a fountain outside, and I think it was the same woman who, like, designed that.
Yeah, she does have a beautiful fountain. She also has an amazing, because she went to Yale, so her undergrad was at Yale, and they commissioned her to do a design at Yale, and it's really cool. It's like this huge circular, like, slab of granite, and it has a bunch of zeros, and it's like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 forever. And all of a sudden it's like 1, 3, 9, and it represents every year that Yale has been open, and it represents the number of women who are admitted to Yale. And so it was like all those zeros forever, and then it kind of keeps going. It's super cool. She's really cool. Google her, Maya Lynn, Athens, Ohio. Learn something.
Thank you. We'll go on to Todd's report.
First and foremost, thank you everybody who was able to make it to the retreat on Saturday. I think that each and every one of you contributed heavily to the overall retreat. The executives did a really, really great job at helping facilitate that as well, and just kicking off the year right. And thank you all for inspiring me and really helping me reaffirm that I'm easily the luckiest graduate assistant on this campus. I advise the greatest group of students out there, so I could not be any happier about that. So big thank you for that. I want to kind of let you all know about a service that we are discontinuing perhaps. Has anyone in here heard of the Bobcat Board? All right, there we go. So this is a forum that is hosted essentially by Student Senate, and it replaced the rideshare board in the past. It allows people to go on there and post, if they need a ride from OU to somewhere else on, like holidays and stuff like that. But in 2017, there's been 3 posts. Between 2016 and 2017, there's no evidence of any follow-up pertaining to any post that has been posted. And this service is costing Student Senate $1,800. So, yeah, after reevaluating the necessity of that and realizing that there's already a rideshare Facebook page for Ohio University as well as a subletting page for Ohio University, we've kind of decided to move away from that service to utilize student funds a little bit better and encourage the utilization of platforms that students are using every day anyway. So just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that, so if you were a passionate user of the Bobcat board, that you weren't kind of dismayed when it disappeared. And then lastly, tomorrow, Thursday, September 14th, and Friday, September 15th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., there will be headshots available, your photograph to be taken, at the bottom of Baker. This is business professional attire. These headshots will be used for the website so that everybody who's represented on the website does have their headshot there. And we'll also be able to send you all these headshots, so if you need to update your LinkedIn profile, for instance, please have a LinkedIn profile photo and make sure it's professional. But if you need to update your LinkedIn profile, you can then utilize the headshots that we're providing through that. But like I said, Thursday and Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the bottom of Baker.
If we have our headshots from last year, can we still be using the website?
Yeah.
They'll see it, right?
We can.
Well,
But you're in a bush.
It's 6 to 8, 2 days in a row. It's free. Please make time to go.
Sam?
Yes.
Please make time to get a headshot. For my class last year, I had to analyze Student Senate websites for universities across the state, and ours really lags behind some of the other ones. So let's make it pretty and get everyone's beautiful faces on there. Yay!
Any other questions?
Is there a way we can get the headshots uploaded to some form of the archives of the library or the Athena yearbooks or whatever they're called now? Because part of my job right now is actually looking through for Treasure Woods, but I don't know if I need to find specific pictures yet. John told me you asked him to ask me.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember that? Yeah.
No, I'm
Casual.
just instead of from like 1940.
To like now, for like.
Thank God we cleared that up.
So
is there any way that we can upload that to an online archive to make it easier for future
I can check into this. I don't see a problem with
Maybe talk to Will.
it. Yes.
Because he wants to start a more professional relationship with the students.
He's awesome.
Perfect.
Zach?
Are we going to be reaching out to the 3 individuals who posted on the Bobcat board, and personally thanking them for making the most expensive online post that anybody has possibly ever made? And and letting them know that it will be discontinued as a service.
I'll take that into consideration. Thanks. Other than that, go Bobcats.
Okay, our next point.
She's not here.
Not be with us. Should I hear anything?
You guys want to see the picture?
Motion to adjourn.
She'll see it next week.
All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Adjourned.
I'll get you a name tag, don't worry. Thanks. What's up?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
If I could change an office there's only seen one here. Actually, better. You know, I think that's me.
No, a bunch of times.